Hey, it's Chris. Upcoming crowdfunding. We're talking about this because we're 3 months plus into the year now, and we need to say, okay, we've seen some big name projects pass. We've seen a few more announcements, and how has the wish list, how has the anticipated list changed from, say, 3-4 months ago for upcoming 2024? Now, to be fair, there's a lot of games that still have not been announced. There's a lot of companies that have not thrown some of their stuff out there for knowledge. And so this list is worth revising and revamping as we go along, as we pass some of the ones and we add new other ones. So let's go into it, because with the most recent announcement from Awaken Realms, all of a sudden I have a new number one anticipated upcoming arriving crowdfunding campaign of the year, and that's Grimcoven, right? I am a huge fan of the boss battler, but the big crippling Achilles heel of all of these bigger games is they are too big. The reason why this is so well thought of, folks, is just because it's a one-off scenario based, everything that you want, and just pick up, play, put away, right? And so the fact that you're getting away from the Aeon, Trespass, Odyssey, Kingdom Death monsters, right? Nothing against those whatsoever, but you're taking more of the townsfolk tussle approach, only maybe a little bit more in the line of an Aeon, Trespass, Odyssey. And so boss battling in that sense with the Awaken Realms flair, I'm all in. I'm all in. Awaken Realms, call me. I would love to get all over this one. By the way, apparently I'm not telling people enough, at this point in my videos to subscribe. Almost 100,000 views last month and 200 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed already, what's wrong with you? Please do. Side rant there, but that's why I'm so excited. I have no idea. There's not any information out there at this point. And it's just striking all of my fancies, from a thematic to a mechanical to an aesthetic. I love everything that they're putting out there. Again, I just worry about too much. I worry about the $300, $400 all in. That's going to be the biggest, concern as a whole from that standpoint. So, but it's clearly shot up almost above everything else at this point. Second to that, and the only thing that could possibly eclipse that, is we don't know what else is coming from CMON, right? With one of their other campaign endings from last year, there was an allusion to maybe a DC United. You know how big of much of a fan I am of Marvel United, right? I'm still waiting for Marvel United Multiverse to deliver later this year. And to be frank, I will back DC United before even having that. That's how scarily excited I am should that be announced. Will it be announced? I don't know. I have no clue what else CMON has on store for us, because also them getting rid of GameFound creates a whole new world in both blessing and curse ways, right? Like, are we going to see more reprints? Are we going to see more of those avenues? We're seeing Cthulhu Dark Providence at retail. So what does CMON have in store? And that's the big question mark, because I could see it also, again, floating to the top of this list. So I'm intrigued, and I want to know more. The other one that I kind of have my radar on, this one's going to be a pseudo hedge my bets, and I'm going to guess I'm actually wrong on this one, but I'll throw it in there for the sake of doing it. And we've seen with Restoration Games, they're kind of splitting, kind of going back and forth, one side of the fence in both, with crowdfunding and with retail, like I just mentioned, a little bit more, a little bit less so with CMON. And Unmatched, right? We've seen it with Unmatched. We've seen on Tales to Amaze go to crowdfunding. We've seen the more recent Sun's Origin and now Slings and Arrows retail. But they also announced later in the end of the year, Q4 is going to be Witcher. Would you be surprised if The Witcher went to crowdfunding? I wouldn't be. Deluxify it, bling the heck out of it, or do something else along those lines. I almost want to say like one a year they've done, because they also did the Unmatched storage system like a year or two ago as well. So, or just, give me more Tales to Amaze. Give me more Cooperative Unmatched. That again would be high on the list. So I want to see what else Restoration Games can do. I love the Carnival of Chaos right now. I'm backing Carnival of Chaos. No doubt, right, with that one. I don't need it. I want it. Speaking of things, though, that I don't need, but desperately, utterly want, in case you missed the news video from earlier in the month, Level 99 Games was holding their cards close to the vest, and they said, finally, we're allowed to talk about it. It's going to be more Millennium Blades. I have almost everything from Millennium Blades, folks. I haven't played it within the last year and a half. And you know I'm getting it. I can't help myself. The TCG without a TCG. And the setup and teardown is too big. Nobody wants to play it with me. It's a game I absolutely adore. I cannot say enough good things about it. And if I could get played more, it'd probably be higher on my all-time list. So I just can't wait to see what they've got in store for us. I don't need more. I desperately don't need any. But I can't wait to see at the beginning of April what they have in store for us with some of the reprints, with some of the whatever else they've got going alongside of things. And we'll see what level 99 can do from that aspect. And I'm still waiting to get my bullet. And, you know, I'm a bullet aficionado, bullet fiend, if you will, from their other products, as well as Exceed and BattleCon. So I'm a level 99 simp. What can I say, folks? So biased right here, first and foremost, put that out there. I am not at all down the line, straight and narrow with that. I am clearly veering off to one side. So next up is actually horror on the Orient Express. This is another game from some of the designers over that did some of the Awaken Realm stuff that you may be more familiar with. It's like a dungeon crawl-esque skirmish style game set on the Orient Express with a Cthulhu Elder Gods style vibe. And Heavy Cardboard did a playthrough, but that's all of the information we have. We don't even have a date really at this point, or any more concrete information about what it's going to entail. But just the concept of that. The murder mystery on the Orient Express, you know, now as a crawling style game, skirmish-esque, scenario driven, I have no idea. Campaign even, maybe? I don't know how you do campaign on a train, but I'm sure you could figure it out, right? Some of my favorite arcs in anime were on a train, right? The Hell Train arc from Tower of God, you know, things like that. So, again, this one potentially is a wallet buster. And I can see myself going very much either way. But the real intriguing thing, because of the premise is a little bit different, I'm hoping that the mechanics will reflect that in some way, shape, or form. So I want to see what they can do. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing, right? Unmatched also did the Brothers Murph, that one too. Was that also combined with a storage solution? This is what you get on Liege games, right? I'm all over the place. Like going back to like 3 topics ago and, you know, kind of back and forth. Anyway, but that's on the list, and Horror on the Orient Express is there. And then we also have to talk about another one that obviously everyone knows at this point is Earth. Inside Up Games. They just sent out the email at the time of me filming this, a couple days before that, asking for people to sign up if they're interested in prototyping and talking about Earth Abundance, the expansion that's coming to crowdfunding later this year. So, spoilers, I don't like my odds on that one, getting that one, but I'm really interested in seeing what it can do. Because I like Earth in general, the premise of it, but it needs something different for me to really make it or break it for me. I'm still on the fence with it. And I want to be convinced. I want to be convinced, right? There's always something in this hobby, when you see other people enjoying a game so much, you hate on it. No. That's only on the online social media. What you look at it and you get this feeling of, I want to like a game like that. I want to love a game like somebody else loves that game. And that's how I feel about Earth, right? I want to love that game as much as other people love that game. I think that's why you see when some big channels put out reviews that are like, this is the best game ever, everyone buys those games and they sell out, right? Because everyone wants to have the same experience that other person had. And truth be told, you won't. A good portion of the time. But we're always chasing that dragon, trying to get that feeling. And so right now, Earth is a little bit of that for me. And that's also why Unmatched is on this list. That's why I wanted to include it, just because I also have that feeling about Unmatched. Like, in theory, I should love these games. And I just feel like I'm missing just one piece. And maybe it's me. Maybe it's me, not the game. Truth be told, that could be totally the case. So, take that for what you will. Next up, from North Star, this is going to be way towards the end of the year, but I've had this one on my radar since like the end of 2023, and that's Nature from North Star Games. It reimplements Evolution Climate. They're going with a completely heavy modular system, anywhere from 0 to 3 modules, 5 modules available at launch, and they're just going to put out more modules later. I think that's a really unique premise. I think that's kind of cool. The only question is, if you get some of those more modules later that you like better, and you're just never using the original modules, okay, how's that going to work? But I like the unique ecosystem sort of engine tableau hand management style of things. And I wasn't ever a big fan of evolution, but nature seems like more of my fit. Again, this 30 to 45 minute time frame, family-esque weight-ish, if you will, relative speaking. I got you in the comment section. It's not always, exactly that, but interactive, easy to teach. 9 traits, synergy, build it as you go. Yeah, that's ideal. That's ideal. It's ideal. There's no details, though, on gameplay at this point. North Star, again, holding things very close to the vest. There's a little bit of a demo on Steam that you can check out, but again, not a whole lot else at this point. Now, if you go over the forums, though, they actually have a picture of a Nature Jurassic, and they say 1 to 2 modules a year for this. Get this, for the next 10 years. So they want to know what you want. They want to show you what they've got in mind, and they want to see where they can go with this. So, I mean, that's an intriguing premise. It's an intriguing premise, and I want to see what they can do with it as a whole there. So I just, again, got to mention it because it piques my interest more than anything else. Next up, again, something slightly different, Druid City Games. James, man, I'm serious. I want to get in on this one. Madcala, right? Wonderland's War, only imagine as a 2-player asymmetric dueler with Madcala. I got you, JJ, in the comment section. I screwed up on the roundup when we were talking about Ostia. I called the mechanism there a mandala mechanism. Just total Freudian slip there. I don't know what was going on. But Madcala type situation. And this is a play on that as well. And so, again, you know me on this channel, if you've watched it all, like, I'd love this style of game. Got a deck of Summoner Wars 2 just sitting here, and another deck sitting here, right? Like, they're all over the place. Right here is Massive Verse. I got that more than anything else. I just commented earlier how I'm a level 99 simp for Exceed and BattleCon, right? Yomi is getting a 2nd edition too, if you didn't know that. It's in Steam right now, but Sterling Games has said it's eventually going to come to the tabletop. So I'm like salivating at that. So when I hear that this, which again, Wonderland's War was fine, area control is not my favorite mechanism, but now you're giving me my favorite mechanism? Okay. Right? No details. You just posted on social media. I saw it, James. You were over at Dice Tower, I think it was West, prototyping it out. So, it's getting some play, it's getting some experience, it's getting some throwdown out there, and I'm intrigued. Show me the craziness. Show me the craziness, right? That's what I love out of these games, like the craziness that goes along with it. Something like Mindbug as well, which has another campaign that's upcoming later this year in addition. So those are the things I love seeing. And let's just stay in the line of that. The small box, the indie publisher, and Regicide Legacy. Did you know Regicide Legacy is coming out, right? Resettable, campaign-ish. Like, I'm really intrigued by this. This is a really cool concept. Regicide is one of those games, again, like, that you look at and you go, this shouldn't work, this shouldn't be any good, and here I am playing my 5th game in a row, right? And it captures just the essence of a regular card deck, right? If you were a kid like I was, stupid statement, right? If you were a kid like I once was, when you were a kid, if you did what I did when we got a regular deck of playing cards, right? Like, I feel like most kids have done this, at least our age. My age. Somebody's age. I'm doing really well this part of the video. You took a deck of cards and you tried to create your own game, right? And Regicide sort of did that, only they did it really well. It's freaking hard. Like, it's almost too hard. To be honest with you, it's probably too hard. But the premise of a legacy, the premise of a carryover between, and maybe the ability to maybe not have to just use a regular deck, maybe that you can't substitute a regular deck, they're giving us something a little bit different, a little twist there. They've got a couple updates out, they're working on it. I've been in contact with them, I'm crossing my fingers to cover it on the channel. So, right? Tell me that doesn't interest you. Don't tell me that actually doesn't interest you. Don't do that. By the way, subscribe! Sorry, let's stay with small box indie games. I've covered a couple times. They've just been work in progress. Folks over doing Wormwood, the 2-player asymmetric dueler, multi-faction based scenario, double-sided card, slowly inking them up, taking out your opponent's style of game, which has potentially a dueling element from 2 to 4. Right? Wasn't kidding about having a type, folks. So they've just been working on it. And again, I don't blame them. I mean, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Slay the Spire from previously, right? When Slay the Spire was like initially announced, Contention Games was saying that they said, okay, look, we're going to have it this month. And then that passed. And then this month and this passed. And this month and this passed. But what really matters is you put it out when you're ready. You put it out when the product is ready to go. Because you know what? I'm also a bigger fan of people putting out products that are closer to being ready instead of this 1.5 year money holding on to loan, if you will, that crowdfunding has become, right? Like, one of the biggest things I have loved seeing so far in 2024 is the campaigns that are coming to you and going, Chris, our campaign is running right now, but guess what? 6 months from now, within 2024, you will already have your game from this crowdfunding campaign. And that's freaking awesome, because when I was just doing the roundup, the hype look back roundup from March for 2021 and 2022, there were games, one game in 2021 and a couple games in 2022 that had not yet delivered. So when I see companies that are getting it out in under a year, like, that's one reason I really love Restoration Games. I'm not a big fan of all of their games. I don't think it's always the best value for me personally, but I give them a whole freaking ton of kudos when you say you're going to get the expansion for Carnival of Chaos later this year. I like seeing that sort of thing. Tales to Amaze, under a year. Like, things like that. They are good, and that's good for the crowdfunding side of things. To show people that it's not always a 1.5 years later and then add 6 months, right? That's the running joke, right? Like, whatever the delivery date is, you add 6 months, and that's about the usual. So be it. Then we're going back over to another one from Off the Page Games, and this is Manifest Destiny, the game of cryptic exploration. And Off the Page is staying with their indie comic book theme here with the Cores of Discovery of Manifest Destiny here. And we're going to see what they've got going on. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more scenario-based. I think 2 different sets of scenarios that are going to be available to you, as well as a cooperative, theme as opposed to competitive with the previous ones. I have a copy. This one's not going until late April, so you're going to have my thoughts well before then to let you know, okay, what am I anticipating? What am I feeling on this one? How does it compare? Now, the biggest thing I'll say with Off the Page is very solid games. Just got my copy of Harrow County, but they're also not for everybody, right? They are, just niche, but they're very well done niche. So if you're looking for something like that, more of an asymmetric route 1 versus 1, that's Harrow County, right? One of the best hidden deduction 1 versus all games, Mind Management, right? So they're a little bit more like Roxley in the sense that they are all over the place in terms of mechanics and approaches, but very, very fundamentally core sound in what they're bringing you in the first place. It's just whether or not those line up with you, and I think this is going to be another one with their more cooperative situation. But speaking of Roxley, well, we got to talk about it then, because that was a perfect segue. Didn't even plan it, because I don't plan these videos out in advance. Brass. #1 game of all time. Best thing ever created in the history of board games, ever created in the history of board games. Well, we're getting a Brass sequel sometime in Q4. I mean, I can't not mention it, folks. It's not going to be for me. Am I going to be tempted? Yes. Roxley puts out a good deal on crowdfunding. Still waiting for Skyrise, though. Waiting for that one. That one looks tremendous. That was one of the few games I've ever late-backed, so that should have probably been on the other video of my upcoming most anticipated arrivals, but I think I forgot to include it. But what do you want out of a Brass sequel? What do you need out of a Brass sequel? If you are a person that has any of the previous editions of Brass, what are you looking at in terms of, should I get this? No formal title, no formal date, but similar mechanistic approach. They like Birmingham. They like the other one whose name I'd probably mispronounce if I tried to pronounce it. But, just same thing with Nemesis, right? Retaliation, Lockdown, Core. You're going to have a type. Great Western Trail now has 3. Argentina, New Zealand, Core. Core, what I mean, original. That's what I mean by that. And do you invariably like one over the others? Is Brass going to be the same manner? That'd be my only fear. It's not going to stop Brass lovers from getting it, though. Let's not kid ourselves. They're like Lacerda junkies. They're going to end up with them all. but it's intriguing to see even as a non-heavier Eurogamer. Because if you can make it just a touch lighter, you know, I was kind of hoping Terra Nova would be that for Terra Mystica. Kind of didn't hit quite home, I think, for a lot of people. Kind of got rid of too much. But if you can make it more accessible, more like a Hansa Teutonica, if you will. Okay, maybe not that simple, but you know what I'm saying in that, where the depth is on the board, not in the depth of the rule book, of how thick it is, right? Because otherwise, it's going to be easier to get in my cart than it is going to be easier to get off my shelf. And that's not what I'm going for in a board game as a whole. So then a couple here at the end. Yonder from Sinister Fish Games. Again, not usually a big worker placement fan, but Sinister Fish track record speaks for itself. Streets, Moon, that we just reviewed earlier in this year, that Shut Up and Sit Down raved about as well. But they're going worker placement here with a fantasy theme. Okay. High fantasy. I can do that. Orcs, elves, goblins, worker placement. Sure, I'm intrigued, right? Again, what does attract people who are not normally attracted to it? That's why some of these projects blow up in the first place. It's true. So if you can attract the crowd that doesn't usually have interest in it, that's a big win because that's expanding your circle. So I want to see what Sinister Fish can show us. I believe this one, what is April, May? I think so. Right around that area. April, if I'm remembering correctly. But that's sort of the big question right now is, what are they going to show us? April. I was right. Then we also have World Order. Now, Hegemony, right? Very complicated, asymmetric, 4-hour, 4.0 weight rating on Board Game Geek. But from the same company, they're giving us a more politically based World Order game. Actually named World Order. They say it's going to be slightly a step down. Sort of like I was just talking about with Brass. Not any less asymmetric and cool to play, slightly different mechanistic approach as a whole, but slightly easier for people like myself to be more interested, to be able to play it in the first place. See what I did there? See how those things tie together? So that is going to be the tricky sticking point. The other one that I really am interested to see, because just after I'm filming this, the next one from Ivy Studios is also going, the Veiled Fate expansion, which I will be covering, which I have covered by the time you're watching this. What else do they have in store, right? We've seen a couple repeats from them, 1 or 2 repeats a year, and 1 or 2 unique things. Again, similarly, also, we'll just stay with that theme, is Chip Theory. What's Chip Theory got in store for us? What else this year? Like Roth, again, is going to be live by the time you guys are watching this, but Roth was the other one that all of a sudden came out of nowhere that I was super interested in. Like, a not typical Chip Theory game. So that's what I want to see more of. Like, I give kudos for going out there. It's not always for me, right? The King Arthur themed CMON one from last year. Wasn't fully enthralled by it. Same with Dune War for Arrakis. Now I can't even find a copy of Dune War for Arrakis. So if anyone wants to sell me their copy of Dune War for Arrakis Harvester Pledge, right? I'm all in, baby. Not all in. I just want the Harvester Pledge. Just kidding. But that's the sort of thing that changes your mind on things. And I want to see, again, what those 2 companies can show us as well, because I'm imagining maybe a little bit of retread. I wouldn't be surprised if you see another 20-strong campaign before the end of the year. But I wouldn't be surprised if you also see something new. And same thing with Mythic Mischief. We've seen that. We've seen Veiled Fate now 2.0. We've seen another Moonrakers. We saw a Fractured Sky, though, as well. What's going to be the new one, just like Moon Rollers was as well last year? What's going to be the new one? And that's really intriguing. Oh. I almost forgot about this one at the very end. So if you tuned into the very end here, you might get one of the best ones for last. I can't believe I forgot about this. Just again, because there's no information, right? Shadowborne Games, Oathsworn, right? Avalon, the Riven Veil. Sometime this year. Fantasy, fighting, bluffing, exploration, a little bit of an area control vibe with Arthurian, as I just mentioned with the C1 that I wasn't a big fan of, elements. So exploring the mists, sort of, the tainted grail of more area control style things. We're going to see what they can do. Because they did that good with Oathsworn. So, right? Show me what you got. Show me what you got, Shadowborne Games. I can't believe I almost forgot about this, and that's why I'm so glad I remembered it at the end of this video here. But, right? Like, that's the type of thing that's really gonna catch your eye. So can't wait to hear more. So it'd be amiss if we didn't actually talk about a few of the other ones that, you know, I need to throw in the middle of this video because of the recent Game Found Feast announcements. First up is Cyberpunk 2077. Now, you may be going, CMON just delivered relatively recently, an area control style game of Cyberpunk, Chris. Why do I want a second one? Isn't that just Masters of Eternia over again with a different reskin, a different slight mechanical? No. Go on board. Cooperative. Designer of the old world The Witcher game. So right there, Lucas, I see you. And I want to see what you can do. Because doing this cooperatively with the thematic incorporation of this, again, this is a little outside the box. Now, hopefully it's not like super, super miniature. It will be. But I want mechanics with this one, right? Show me what you can do with this theme and make it as relevant and as well incorporated as The Witcher was. And I'm excited. I want to see. This has so much potential written all over it, right? The second one from the Game Found Feast is Bad Crow Games, right? Like, I just talked about the retail version of the OP that's coming out for Avatar The Last Airbender with the Aang's whatever. There's a Journey for Aang, and there's Aang's Destiny, and there's, you know, it's Harry Potter Hogwarts battle reskinned, right? And the question remains, like, are you actually going to, like, smooth out some of the edges of that one? But this one is fully co-op as just an adventure style game. A little bit of a family weight. My kids love Avatar The Last Airbender. So talk about ease of access and ease of accessibility of getting it to the table and getting it played. If you've got that tie-in. I mean, that's all why Star Wars Unlimited right now is all I can think about off camera, right? And that matters. That matters. You give me a pandemic-style Avatar The Last Airbender with a dynamically evolving system and changing every single time I play it. Give me the pandemic Iberia equivalent of Avatar The Last Airbender, and I will throw money at the screen. I still stand by the fact that Iberia is the best of the pandemics. You can argue with me in the comment section down below, but that's why I'm so intrigued. The other sleeper is the one from a company that I had never heard of prior, Historica Arcanum, Cults of London. Post-apocalyptic, cult-driven, asymmetric deck builder. Throwing out some keywords there. That's going to be a little bit interesting. I have to wonder, is it going to live up? And there's not even a Board Game Geek entry at the time of me filming this. So that's going to be a little bit of a twist is, you know, how does it fare? It's probably the least heralded of any of the Game Found Feast, but it's also one of the more intriguing because of the premise as a whole. What else am I missing? Again, like the other CMON campaigns, there can be one or two other CMON campaigns that are going to come out of nowhere. Other couple big company games all over the place. Is CGS just finished Dante's Inferno? Are they going to have something else come out? I don't know. Just love seeing this. Bitewing, AllPlay, right? We've seen that they do 3 or 4 campaigns a year as well. We've got upcoming Bitewing campaigns. I'm covering 2 of theirs upcoming as well. But they put out some solid stuff like Cascadero out of nowhere last year. The Knizia, I just absolutely smashingly fantastic. One of my most anticipated rivals for 2024. That's going to be here. And they put out some incredibly solid stuff, and I can't wait to see what those 2 companies do as well, because small boxes, but again, just like I said, with that lighter, shorter time frame a la the nature, I love seeing it. So we'll see where it goes. That is the list. That's the updated list as of middle of March. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. And yeah, I think it's worthwhile doing this again. Do this a couple times a year. Keep things new, fresh, and updated. And I'll give you where my wish list and my want list is at too. Now that I've picked some stuff up, got some review copies, and explored things. So that's all I got. Subscribe! Right? Stay classy. Have a great freaking day. Thanks for watching. Either way, I appreciate it.